All right, it's time for your Week 12 Blue Rush preview show, and there's no need for any fancy introductions to the show. At 2-8, we all know what's at stake for the Giants. And coming out of this bye week, we all know what everyone's been talking about. So we're going to talk about the storylines heading into Sunday's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when I say we, you guys know New York Post Giants beat writer and Blue Rush original Paul Schwartz. Paul, what's going on, man? Last year, when we were talking bye week, and remember how you were like, no head coach wants to deal with any news in the bye week. It was Xavier McKinney with the ATV accident. I think we got more to talk about in the bye week this year at 2-8 than we did last year, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, good. I like that pocket square. What is that? Is that sewn in there, or is that real? What is that thing?
That's sewn in. No, that comes in and out. That comes in and out.
Very nice. I like it. I like it. Very nice. Don't blow your nose with that. That just looks good for show. Okay, just keep it there looking nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, quarterback. You know, I mean, it's not injuries. It's performance based. It's benchings. It's really a tale of three quarterbacks. We can start with either one you want, but it's that overshadows this game against the Buccaneers because, as we know, Daniel Jones is out, Tommy DeVito is in, and Drew Lock is ticked. That's basically the one sentence scenario for what's going on here.
All right. So, which quarterback do you want to start talking about first? 1, 2, or 4? QB 1, 2, or 4? Well, Daniel speaks today. Daniel speaks today at the time we're recording this. Daniel speaks later. So should we talk? Let's go DeVito. You were in the locker room yesterday. Tommy DeVito had the scrum. Tommy Cutlets, whatever you want to call him. He is now the quarterback one for the New York Giants. What was he like, and what were the players saying about now Tommy Deves being quarterback one?
It was interesting. You can tell it's a different feel right away because, DeVito has his locker off. If you go in the locker room, it's like to the right and down the end. He's near Drew Lock. He's down at the end there near a couple of tight ends. Daniel Bellinger's down there, kind of out of the way. So for Wednesday's press conference with Tommy DeVito, it wasn't a locker situation. They moved him out to the middle of the locker room where that air hockey thing is. They put a banner up, and we all were crowding around him there. Guys were yelling, DeVito. I mean, they have great support for Daniel Jones, but nobody dislikes Tommy DeVito. So it's I think, professionals, if this is high school, Brandon, people can't deal with it, right? There's cliques and things like that. This is the pros. So you are unhappy about Daniel Jones getting benched, but you're happy for the next guy getting an opportunity. And, look, Tommy DeVito's been a cool, calm, collected customer since he's been with the Giants. He's a Jersey guy. He understands the marketplace. He understands the vibe, understands the media pretty much. And, this is his second act, right? I mean, I think the plan is for him to start every game unless things go bad. That's a long audition, 7 games. And Tommy said, look, last year was great. He started 6 games last year, but he said, he was asked about this and about the gestures and about the leaning into his Italian roots and his Cedar Grove roots and signings at pizza joints all over the place. And he said, look, last year was great. I loved it. But he said last year was a good story and all. It was kind of how it happened. But all the fun and games outside, it was fun. It was last year. I'm kind of over that, he said. I'm sticking to football now that I wasn't before, but I'm really focused on that. The external stuff will be on pause. And he said, and this is important, he said, I already had talks with everybody around me, my inner circle. It's going to stay very tight and make sure that everything is about production on Sunday. Yeah. So if he's true to his word, I don't think we're going to be seeing him doing signings and going to pizzerias and, going to the mall and Tommy DeVito and Tommy Cutlets, that's fun. And if he scores, that's great. And if he plays well, that's great. But I think he's going to, tamp it back a little bit or maybe a lot. And it's about football now. And look, he's under contract for next year. He's an exclusive rights free agent. If the Giants want to keep him, he stays for like $1 million. So he can be a very cheap backup alternative. That's what he needs to prove now.
Paul, he better not pass up any opportunity to do a signing, to go to an ESPN party, to do anything in the city. I understand what he's saying. You got to take care of the football aspect of it. But this is the opportunity of a lifetime for an undrafted free agent who went 3-3 last year. Numbers, 9 touchdowns, 3 INTs, 1,100 passing yards. Didn't really do anything sexy in the sense of, oh, yeah, this guy needs to be our QB1 from the football production side of it. You're getting this other opportunity because of everything that comes off the field when it comes to your off-the-field production. People are coming to see you. People are coming up and showing up to these games. You got the home game against the Bucks before you go on the road against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. And then I believe 3 out of the 4 games in December are all home games. They want to sell tickets. They want people to show up and to watch Giants football, and they want him to put on the show. So it's like, yeah, make sure you handle business on the field. Make those throws on the outside. You got Malik Neighbors. You've had success with Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson. You've had success. And then you got Tyrone Tracy Jr., who can take some of the load off of you when it comes to not having to throw the ball 40-something times a game. But this is an opportunity you can't pass up. And I've kind of been in, not so much in talks with this marketing team. I reached out to them about repping me in terms of marketing and all. And they sent me an email back and was like, we're not doing any interviews or anything with Tommy DeVito. It's all football and all. And I'm like, 1, I didn't even know y'all were repping him. 2, I can get an interview with him if I want to get an interview with him through the Giants or whatever, New York Post. And then 3, I was like, no, I understand you don't want it to become a circus, but as long as DeVito is handling business on the field, you're winning a Monday night game against the Packers, you're taking the Giants on a 3-0 win streak, you got to run with everything that comes with being the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Did Victor Cruz pass up anything when he came onto the scene? No, he just made sure he handled business on the field. So I can't get behind that. I know what he's doing.
Right, can we do a point counterpoint here? Can we do a point counterpoint?
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. Look, I hear what you're saying. I thought last year it was fun. He had some success. I thought last year, you know what it felt like to me? That Tommy DeVito and his camp said, this is never going to happen again, so we got to take advantage of every little opportunity here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We got to take advantage of it because it's all going to be gone. And guess what? It's not gone. It's back. So, look, I'm not saying if something lucrative comes up, if there's interviews, if there's football things, but, I mean, he was everywhere last year. He was doing things that were, look, I know he doesn't make big money as far as the NFL. He's not Eli Manning who's signing these, multi-million-dollar contracts. And you say, Eli Manning wouldn't do that. Of course Eli Manning wouldn't go to a pizzeria in Jersey and sign autographs because Eli Manning, he could own the pizzeria.
For sure, for sure.
I get it. And I'm not telling anyone, look, Brandon, you don't deserve a right to make money. You got to sit home and be in your books and not make money. But I think it's different this year. I really do. He proved enough to stay on the team. And I think, look, he wants to do some stuff that's great. But last year smacked a little desperation. I'm never going to get this again. You know what I mean? I'm never going to go out with this girl again. So I got to give her all the flowers and the candy and take her to the best places because she's going to dump me. And then it's over. You know what I mean? So, the Giants didn't dump him. The Giants are still going out with him. And, they'd be starting Drew Lock if they knew right now Tommy's not on the team next year. We got to move on from him. They don't know that. They want to find that out. So I think it was a good statement by Tommy, a very good statement to say, look, this stuff was great and it was fun, but now I'm QB1 and it's just about football. Because you mentioned about selling tickets. If they lose a couple of games here, then no one's buying tickets to see Tommy DeVito play if they're 3-10, if they're 2-10. If they win a couple of games, this game, will there be a few extra people in the seats instead of selling their tickets? Buck fans aren't coming up to this game. I just don't think that's a big deal. You know what I mean? That Tommy DeVito isn't. Look, he's more popular than Drew Lock. I get that, but it's not so. Look, now if they were starting their first round pick for the first time, who everyone was excited about, then people get behind it. I think people like Tommy, but I don't think anyone out there is thinking, or many people outside of people who live in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, are out there thinking, this is the start of something big for the Giants here. You know, it is what it is.
I'm in a group chat with the J18 tailgate, and they're excited. But one, for the tailgate, they're all like, oh, I can't wait to tailgate, party, hang out and stuff. Good to see everybody. But then a lot of them have been posting this emoji in the group chat because this is why they want to go inside now. Season, I guess we can say it's over. And I understand business decisions are made on both ends, whether it's do I skip over on a Drew Lock to bring Tommy DeVito in? But, you know, at the end of the day, playing Tommy DeVito or the allure of watching Tommy DeVito, and maybe we can get some of that DeVito madness again. He is the Jeremy Lin of the New York Giants. He is the Matt Rempe of the New York Giants. So that allure is better than a free medium Pepsi, I can tell you that. And speaking of business decisions, Drew Lock, passing over Drew Lock was a business decision. I saw on social media, I wasn't there, you were there, saw a clip of him saying he's not really happy, not so much frustrated, but you can tell he's got that competitive spirit in his voice. Kind of take us through that entire availability with Drew. What was his demeanor like when he was saying these things, Paul?
You know, it was good because if you know a player is upset and he doesn't say he's upset, then he's being disingenuous. You know what I mean? And sometimes players have to do that. It's like, oh, I can't show my true emotion. You know, I can't, I can't, show it because I'm not have big status on the team or whatever. He was upset. He admitted he was upset. And then he moved on and said, I got to be a good teammate. I am a good teammate. I will be a good teammate. So let's break it down. Look, when they signed Drew Lock, in the offseason to a 1-year, $5 million contract. And, there was some reports out there. I think that the Seahawks GM who wanted to resign Drew Lock, I think he was ticked off that he didn't, said, oh, the Giants are, he left us because the Giants said he's going to have a chance to start. Not true. Either bad information or a lie to cover your butt for not re-signing Drew Lock. Now, he had a chance to start if Daniel Jones was not ready. Let's remember, he was coming off ACL surgery. This was in March. Nobody knew if Daniel Jones would be ready. The reports were he was on schedule. You never know with an ACL, right? So they signed Drew Lock saying, you know what? And they told him, you are the backup quarterback. If Daniel Jones is healthy and ready to go, there really is not a quarterback competition. You are the backup and Daniel is the starter. Now, if Daniel is not ready, you're next in line, and we feel comfortable with you going onto the field and starting some games. Great. So what happens all season? Daniel's ready. Drew Lock is the number 2 quarterback. He's the backup. And Tommy DeVito is the emergency third quarterback, inactive on game days, right? Only able to play if the first 2 guys get hurt. That's the way it is. The depth chart said Jones 1, Lock 2, DeVito 3. So what happens? It's like a math thing, right, Brandon? You go 2. How do you figure this out? 1 or 2 minus 1 should equal 1.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The 2 is there. You take away the 1, then Drew Lock should be the 1. Then so how does DeVito go from 3 to 1? Well, look, there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of it's money-based. Daniel can't be the backup because they don't want him to play anymore because there's an injury guarantee involved of $23 million next year. So he has to be moved to the side. So why does Drew Lock start? Well, because he missed a month in the summer, right? He got hurt in the first preseason game and missed a month. As a guy who was scrapping and scraping for reps, right? That's your time to get reps. Yeah. Once the season starts, you don't get the reps, right? Drew Lock is the second quarterback. He's the show team, scout team quarterback during the season. He's running the other team's plays, right? He's running Jaden Daniels and the Commanders' plays. He's running plays for the other team. So he gets to look good running the other team's plays to give the defense a good look, the Giants' defense a good look. So his time to shine and prove himself was in the summer. He misses the last 2 preseason games and all those practice games. Okay, so he doesn't get the chances so much. And let's face it, Drew Lock is not under contract for next year. Tommy DeVito is under contract. So the Giants want to see what he can do. Okay, so Drew Lock knows all this, but he's also ticked off, and he said there's a ton of emotions in it. I would say it's still a business. He said, I'm just upset. I'd say upset and confused are 2 pretty good words to put in there. You understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, when you are the 2, right, the backup, you expect to be the next guy up. It's an interesting situation I didn't foresee happening. So that's fair. He's called in that, Joe Shane and Brian Dable met with all three quarterbacks on Monday individually. So they go in and tell him, okay, Drew, you're the backup, but now you're still the backup. I'm still the backup. But he said, I'm going to handle it as a professional. And here's something that will resonate with you, Brandon, who was a guy who was sticking on rosters, right? And, you can't open your mouth or else they're going to say, you got to be at least a good soldier, right?
Yep.
And this was a very, very honest line that I appreciated from Drew Lock. I would say this is still a business, and I want more jobs after this year. If I come in and be ugly and nasty, it leaves a bad taste in these guys' mouths, and who knows how fast that spreads. You can relate to that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the business is frustrating, but you can't be frustrated with the business. I saw clips, the media, you guys spoke with Darius Slayton. We all know the business side of sport with the Giants he had to go through. Dexter Lawrence talked about how they traded away his best friend at the trade deadline last year. We all know about the frustration with the business that he's been through. I mean, we can go on and on of players throughout the league. Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, they've all been casualties of the business. Daniel Jones right now, Eli Manning, all has been casualties of the business. That's just part of our sport. And I think for one thing with Drew Lock, I think one thing that hurt him, that time away hurt him, but that's showing when he had that opportunity against the Eagles. I understand it was garbage minutes or whatever, but Paul, he was throwing the ball in the dirt. He was throwing the ball over top of someone, over Wan'Dale Robinson's head on the bubble screen. So if I'm a Brian Dable and I'm a Joe Shane and I'm looking at it like, well, am I coaching for my job? I'm going to go with the guy I know has come in and I've been able to coach and I've been able to coach properly and I've had some sort of success with him in terms of Tommy DeVito. Again, Tommy DeVito didn't light it up last year, but he gave the fan base hope. He brought some sort of excitement. And we're talking about the NFL and business and auditions and re-auditioning. Brian Dable's kind of re-auditioning for that quarterback guru title that he had coming in to the New York Giants. So if I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show ownership, the Mara family, the Tisch family, that, hey, I'm still him when it comes to grooming and developing quarterbacks. The Daniel Jones thing didn't work out, but watch what I do with my guy when he's on the same page with me and he's playing with some sort of confidence. Watch what I can do. I'm sorry, when it came to Drew Lock, it's too late in the season to make that move. Had it been Tyrod Taylor last year, the Buffalo game, remember there were grumblings for let Tyrod play, put T2 in there. We never heard that this year from the fan base, from social media, from the media. No one has said anything about, switch Daniel Jones with Drew Lock. So I think that business side of it made it easier for them to go with DeVito as QB1.
Yeah, I mean, I think the legitimate question that Drew Lock can also ask is, and it's fair, is, okay, if when the time came to bench Daniel Jones, and you put in who you think is the best quarterback to give the Giants a chance to win, then why the heck was I the number 2 quarterback all season?
That's fair.
I mean, that's fair to ask. If you think that Tommy is better than me or gives us a better chance to win, then in the first 10 games, why was he QB3 and me QB2? Now, so you're saying if something happened to Daniel in a game, you trusted me to go out and play, but moving forward, you trusted Tommy to start? I mean, look, the logic really does not hold up there. And like we said, there are other things at play here. Yep. They also can say, which I don't think they're going to say to Drew, look, you're not under contract for next year and you're going to be elsewhere. And we got to find out more about Tommy because Tommy's going to be cheap labor for us next year. That's the hard, cold truth of the business that, that's in the underbelly. Brian Dable's not going to say that, and he talked a lot around about, I have great respect for Drew. I have great respect for, he's been a true pro. Tommy, I like his swagger. We did some things with last year. Drew was hurt in the summer. The question is that that's all true. Drew was hurt in the summer. Then why, when the season started, didn't you say, Tommy's 2, Drew Lock's 3. Sorry, Drew, we told you were 2. Things change. You know what I mean? So then this wouldn't have been a surprise to him. Look, it's just the way it is. Like I said, the logic and the math doesn't exactly add up, but they're 2-8. A lot has not added up this year. Let's face it. A lot has not added up.
My counterpoint and my answer to that question, if I'm Dable, I know I'm balding on the sides here. If I'm Brian Dable and Drew Lock comes to me and asks that same question, well, why was I number 2? Why was I number 2 when I came back? I'm gonna look him in the eye because we're all men in that locker room. Because week 1 through week 8 or 9, we were in it.
Yeah.
We were in it. So if I had to go with somebody.
We weren't in it, but we were not out of it.
We were okay, even better.
Yeah.
We weren't so Paul Shane is in the meeting and I'm Brandon Dable, and you jump in and say we weren't out of it, but we weren't in it. That's why you were QB2. But now we have to look this is the uncomfortable situation for all of us. We're all trying to save the boat. We're all got the bucket trying to throw out water out the boat. We're all trying to save our butts here. We got to go with what we think we need to evaluate for next year. And that's why I tell fans all the time, there's no such thing as tanking in the building. We don't call that tanking. There's business decisions. There's business decisions that have to be made. Again, like I told you guys, Daniel Jones is going to speak later on today. People making fun of him. Oh, he's QB4 now. They brought in Tim Boyle. And, Paul, if I'm Daniel Jones, I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm chilling. I'm going to take this QB4 thing. I'm going to show up, say the right things, do the right things, because the same thing like Drew Lock said, if I come in with a bad attitude or I'm mouthing off or I become a distraction, that's going to spread like wildfire. And I haven't done enough in terms of being here or what people look at me like throughout the league for now to have diva or bad teammate attached to my name. So I'm going to do what I got to do. Hey, you need me to throw some stuff? I'll throw it. You need me to do whatever? I'll do that. Daniel's going to obviously, when he speaks later, Paul, what are you expecting?
It's hard to say. We've never been in this situation before. Yeah. I don't think he's going to, David Carr, when he was benched from the Raiders, he left. They had 2 weeks to go in the season, and he said, I'm leaving. And they said, David Carr was a more accomplished quarterback than Daniel Jones. Yep. They said, okay, you get paid, you leave, you don't have to be here. You're not playing because there was an injury guarantee involved with that too. Now, the whole thing with this 3 and 4 is this. Look, Daniel Jones is not going to be the backup quarterback because there's an injury guarantee and they don't want him to play. He can't play because if he gets hurt, then the Giants look like idiots. So he's not even, I don't even think he's going to be QB emergency quarterback. I think that's why they signed Tim Boyle. You know what I mean? So he can be the QB3, and Daniel Jones will just be a healthy scratch inactive on Sunday. That's what I think will happen, because if 2 guys get hurt in the game, then your third quarterback can play. And the Giants know that Daniel Jones can't get back on the field for them. Yeah. So why even put anyone in that situation? So I think that's why, he didn't go from 1 to 3. He kind of went from 1 to 4. It was, rough, not rough, but, seeing him in practice and, they're all warming up and Daniel's doing very little. He's kind of a little soft tossing with the other quarterbacks. And look, Brandon, you know what the quarterback 3 does. You've been on the field, right? Yep. They do individual drills. They do their quarterback footwork in individual drills, and then they'll throw routes with receivers, right? Yep. That's it. And then they're done. Any kind of team period, you're watching. That's it. You're watching, Tommy DeVito is going to get 100% of these snaps with the first team, as Daniel Jones got 100% with the first team, which is why Drew Lock got no snaps with the first team, in the first 10 weeks. That's the way it works. But teammates are supportive. As I said, Dexter Lawrence, who's a great guy with his wife. He was at a turkey giveaway, packing boxes and things on Tuesday. And he said, I don't understand it. I think Daniel's the best quarterback on this roster. They came in together. Remember in 2019, yep. They were roommates. They were kind of like an odd couple roommate situation, in training camp, they're good friends. Dexter said he's my best friend. My best friend, and he also said Leonard Williams was a great friend. My best friend, that's interesting, and he said, and he's a day later, yesterday, Dexter said, it's part of the business. I understand that part of it. I feel for Daniel, works hard, great dude, relatable. It's just tough. And this is interesting. He said, he told Daniel, you'll get another opportunity, and wherever it is, you're going to take advantage of it. As we've seen, there's life after the Giants, right, Brandon?
Yep.
There's
Yes,
life
sir.
after the Giants,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I mean, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be Saquon Barkley or Xavier McKinney, but, ask Sam Darnold if there was life after the Jets, right? Ask him, right? Was there life after the Jets?
Ask Gino.
Now every team, perfect. Ask Gino, was there life after the Jets and the Giants, right?
Yep.
I mean, the thing is now every team in the league who wants this bridge starter next year is saying, how can I find the next Sam Darnold or the next Baker Mayfield, who's coming in this week? Baker Mayfield was thrown aside by the Browns.
Yes,
Geno Smith was a punching bag, literally and figuratively, by the Jets, right? So everyone wants to. It's easy to identify Sam Darnold now or Baker Mayfield now. Who is that next guy who's been thrown aside who you can identify and say, you know what? We can sign him. We can pay him 10, 12 million bucks next year, and I may be able to get 9, 10 wins out of him. That's hard. So, Daniel Jones will be a backup in the league next year. He's healthy. He's big. He's strong. He's smart. He'll be 27 or 28. There's life after, but this life for the next 7 weeks, if he chooses to stay around, which I think he will. One thing, he was told on Monday, okay, you're done. You're done here. You're not playing anymore. What is Tuesday in the NFL, Brandon?
Your day off.
Day.
Your off day.
Right? The quarterbacks always come in. Daniel Jones was in the team facility on Tuesday, working out, looking at the tape, talking to Shea Tierney, the quarterback coach.
Yep.
They're in the meetings on Wednesday. What do you like? What do you don't like? Drew Lock said he was there helping us. He was in the building on Tuesday after he was told, you're basically fired from your job. Drew Lock said, knowing the guy he is, they probably have to kick him out of here for him to not be here. So we'll see what Daniel Jones says later about it. But I don't think Daniel Jones is going to say, sayonara, I'm out of here for the next, 6 or 7 weeks.
I think, not like advice to him, but I would just say tame the warrior. Make sure you can tame the warrior, because that same competitive spirit that has you in there, I'll probably bet you he was one of the first ones in the building on Tuesday, Paul. He's been that guy since day one. Tame the warrior, because you can continue to go through your same routine. You can do the right things. You're there for your teammates. Hey, you're putting on that face, but at the same time, deep down, it's got to hurt. And you're doing this, you're having to do these things and not take those first team reps. And you may see Tommy DeVito go somewhere with the ball that in your head, it's like, maybe he should have went there. Tame that warrior, because now you're at the position to where you're mentoring. It's the same thing Eli did with you. Remember, he took over for Eli, and then what happened? We saw a video of those guys at Green Rock and Hoboken doing shots and hanging out. So this same business,
games,
the way you come in is the way you come out, Paul. I think fans need to understand that, because they think like in professional sports, you're young, you have these prime years, you do it all. But then as you get, I'm not saying he's old, but the business and sport, the football gods, they get everybody. You either have to retire and you don't. No one really gets that Michael Strahan win the Super Bowl and ride off to the sunset and go do TV. No one really gets that. That's an anomaly. Look at Victor Cruz.
And let's face it, this is not, from a football point of view, a raw deal or unfair. Let's face it, they're 2-8. He threw 2 red zone interceptions, the last time he played in Munich against the Panthers. This is a warranted benching. It really is. I wrote after the Panther game, he can't start anymore. There's nothing against Daniel Jones as a person. Yep. It's just they're 2-8. They lose, almost every time he steps on the field. He's 3-13 since signing that 4-year, $160 million contract. Yeah. So this is not criminal. Sometimes this has to be done. This had to be done. Now whether it's Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito, people around the league can take jokes and make shots and say the Giants are tanking. I guarantee you they're not. I guarantee you if you ask Brian Dable right now, who do you think gives you a better chance to win in the next 7 games, he's going to say, I think Tommy does. I think Tommy does. I was able to massage him to 3 wins last year. I think I can get a few wins out of him this year. I think he's better. I think he understands it more. I just feel that way. That's why he's starting. Yep. But this is not an unwarranted, Daniel Jones is not a victim here. That doesn't mean you can't have empathy for what he's going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, he's a warrior, man. That kid's a competitor. Shea Tierney could be, OC somewhere next year. Mike Kafka can be OC head coach somewhere next year. You got to make sure you keep those relationships in this business. You got to be a professional in the building, outside the building. Daniel Jones has been that. There's a couple storylines that have kind of been washed away, Paul, so we can get to these because we've been talking for a long time about the QBs. Sterling Shepard returns to MetLife Stadium, young Shep. There's also Evan Neal is going to be starting again at right tackle because he had himself a pretty solid day against the Carolina Panthers. Kayvon Thibodeaux is coming back. He's going to return. Hopefully the defense gets a little bit better there. Also, Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen was my quarterback in college. I've been texting him trying to get me a little info here and there. I'm trying to take him out to dinner on Saturday, but he's got his family. His family coming up. Young Shep running through MetLife Stadium. We've already seen the return of Saquon. How do you think Sterling Shepard is going to be received? He didn't go to a division rival.
I mean, I think he'll be cheered.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Look, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans got hurt, and that gave Shep his chance. He didn't make the team coming out of training camp. He was on the practice squad, waited his turn, might not have ever been elevated. But, 2 starting receivers get hurt. He comes in. He's got he's made 2 starts, 16 catches, 166 yards, 1 touchdown. I asked Adoree Jackson about him the other day in the locker room. I said, what does he look like? He said, he looks like Shep. Mm-hmm. He said, look, and, I've had to deal with him in practice. The moves, the quickness, the suddenness. I think he looks pretty good. And it's great. It's great. Sterling Shepard was a guy last year, right? You were in a locker room, Brandon, who was basically inactive, right? He got healthy and he was just inactive. He wasn't playing. They didn't have Malik Neighbors. They didn't have an all-star cast of receivers, but he wasn't playing and he was healthy and he bit his lip. He told me he was frustrated and things like that. He knew it was the end of the road for him with the Giants and was contemplating retirement, was asking me about, getting into the media and things like that, owning some real estate in Oklahoma, said he wanted to stay in New Jersey and got a shot. Baker Mayfield's his college quarterback at Oklahoma. Good for him, right? Is it last after this year? I don't know. But at least he's going out playing and on the field and not sitting in his locker as an inactive on game day with the Giants. So good for him. Happy for him. All good. I think every catch he makes is one more catch than maybe he thought or I thought he would make. Good for him.
Yep.
Evan Neal makes complete sense. He's got to start. He's got to play. We got to find out. He's under contract for next year. We got to find out if he's their right tackle or not. Get him on the field. Very good. And Kayvon showed me his wrist. Didn't see a scar or anything like that. Says, didn't want to say if he'll have a club on it, but for competitive reasons, but kind of think it'll be wrapped up pretty nicely for the game. But he said he's good. And I asked him, you think you can help the run defense? And he smiled, He said, that's one of the reasons I'm here. So Azeez Ojulari filled in well, had a bunch of sacks, but run defense is not good. 29th in the league, not good. Kayvon helps with that. So he'll help. That's the football stuff. Look, there's 7 games to go, and they have 2 games in 4 days, and they go on Thanksgiving. They got to travel on Wednesday. They got to be in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. That means I have to travel on Wednesday and be in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, just like 2022, which was a big day for the Giants. Not on Thanksgiving, obviously, but so. These are things that can help the Giants, having Neal hopefully play better, having Thibodeaux back certainly helps, having, Azeez Ojulari in a pass, rush role. And, we'll see. It will help the Giants if they win this game and go into that, 2 games in 4 days with a little momentum. Yep. A loss is just another nail in the coffin here.
to really quick to go back to Shep. Remember, Shep probably had the best training camp out of all the receivers last year as well, Paul. Remember, he looked great last year in training camp. So again, another guy who had to go through the business of sport. This is nothing new to anybody and everybody. As for Kayvon, we talking, you need these numbers. You got to run these numbers up, because when we go to the off season and we're talking money or some New York radio or TV guys are talking about Kayvon's career, now you need these numbers to kind of pad your stats to show why you deserve a second contract here or anywhere, or why you deserve the number that you're commanding. So really quick, Paul, we've been talking a lot about, again, the QBs, Shep's return, and all the game. Final thought on the game, and we'll close this thing out.
The Giants, and believe it or not, the Cowboys are the only team in the NFL that has not won a game at home. Okay? Not won a game at home. So, look, on Thanksgiving, the Giants will go there. That's the next time the Cowboys play, and try to continue that streak. So, I've said this before these home games is I don't think the people that spend their money and are going to sit out there, maybe it'll be a little cooler, a little nastier. I don't know if there'll be a little rain in the forecast. It's the mid-November here. It's getting there, right? It's getting to some unpleasant weather, finally. And I don't think those fans, if you and I went out there with a microphone and talked to 150 fans, I don't think most of them would say, you know what, let's play a good game, have Tommy throw the ball around a little bit, but I hope we lose. I hope, we have a great tailgate, and I hope we lose 27-24, because I want to draft, one of these quarterbacks, next year in the first 2 or 3 picks. I just don't think that's what. No. Now, fans sitting home are tweeting that. I don't care. I don't care when to lose. The people who pay their money want to see you win. I think that's true. I think you would agree with that. They want to see them win, and sit home and going home in traffic, at 4:30 on Sunday, and be like, oh, geez, we lost, 31-10. It's, this is really great. Yay for our draft pick. So they're 0-5 at home. So this is another chance to win a game at home. It doesn't change the season, doesn't change anything, but win a game at home, make some people happy, make Joe Shane happy, make John Mara happy, make Brian Daboll happy. And as I said before, make Tyrone Tracy happy. Yeah. Maybe he scored a game-winning touchdown. Maybe make Malik Neighbors happy that he, has a big third down catch. As I've said before, any of these fans who say it's more important for us to lose and tank and lose these games, if you want that opinion, then you need to go to Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy and John Michael Schmidt, the second year, a center who's, getting his head knocked in on every play, in battling in the trenches, and all these young players, Tyler Nubin and Drew Phillips, all these guys, and say, look, no offense to you. I like you. I want you on the team next year, but I hope you lose as many games as possible now, because they're going to look you in the face and say, the hell with that. You see Malik Neighbors' fire and his confusion and his frustration, right? So if you go to Neighbors and say, you know what, I hope you catch 2 touchdowns today, but I kind of hope you lose too. What do you think he's going to say to you? What do you think he's going to say to you?
With the bling in his mouth, get out my bleeping face. Get out my bleeping face. And that's probably as nice as he's going to put that. These guys are warriors out there. They put it all on the line. And then again, you never want to be that guy that quits on your brothers. Like, I'm not saying Tate Banks quit, but you see how he got called out for not having 100% effort. Just imagine if somebody was out there and you look at it, you're like, this dude's trying to tank for real? That's the last thing you want. And again, we talking about how everybody knows everybody within this league. You put that on tape. It's not just the scouts and all from the Giants that's looking down and watching you and evaluating you. You got the scouts from the Lions, from the Bucks, from the Rams. Everybody has a copy of that all 22. So you better give all that you have, otherwise you get, exposed on the all 22. Whew, this was at 2-8, Paul. We have more to talk about today than we have in other weeks, man. Great show. Thank you guys for rocking with us. This was today's Blue Rush preview show.